Hey guys,
Hello.
welcome to So You Think You're Iconic.
It's the 10th episode, y'all.
Is it? Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Happy 10 episodes.
Happy 10 episodes.
If you're still with us, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's been a wild ride for you, hasn't it?
Yes. Yes, it has. At least.
And I promise you, we don't record inside of a mental institution. It's just the way
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah, this is, yeah. And I don't know if that's a good thing to tell you or not,
Yeah.
but
You take it the way you want to.
yeah. And you're listening anyway, so
Yeah. What does that say about you, huh?
yeah. Huh?
Hmm?
There's no judgment here, but you're still listening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep listening.
Please. Uh, how was your week?
It was all right. Wasn't the best. There's a lot going on. How was
Oh.
yours?
Oh my gosh, it was so hectic. So I worked 7 days in a row.
Woohoo.
Yay. That was fun. And then I had a day off yesterday and I literally did not leave my bed all day.
Good for you.
And I got my first full paycheck. Oh my
Yay.
gosh, I was rolling in money and then immediately had to pay bills.
Yay.
Isn't that fun? I owed my school $1,000 and I couldn't get my diploma until I sent it to them. And so now I can get my diploma.
Same. I'm playing that same game right now.
Isn't it a
Woo.
isn't it a fun game?
We love to go and get higher education. We love
Yeah, it's like Russian roulette.
it. But it's always pain. No matter
Yes,
how much,
always pain.
always pain.
And then I'm so happy because I found a haunted house I can go to. I'm so
Yay.
happy.
You
It's outside and it doesn't
actually
cost.
walk through it, or is it
Yeah, you can
still a
actually walk
drive-through?
through it. And it's
Wow.
not a bajillion dollars like the drive-through one,
Oh, thank God.
which every
Good.
time I try to buy a ticket, it's sold out.
Sold out. I'm
Hmm.
not surprised.
So
Everyone needs to get out of the house.
yeah. Plus, there's not much we can do this spooky
Yeah.
season.
Mm-mm. Also, it's still hot in California.
Oh, yes.
It got back up to the 90s, y'all.
Oh, oh my gosh.
We're just burning out here. Please send help.
Figuratively and literally.
Yes.
So, Kelly, I'm ready to talk about this movie. Are you ready to talk about this movie?
Yes. Let's get on with it. Let's tell the people about this movie.
Let's do it.
Hey, y'all. So this week we are talking about the Leprechaun.
Yay!
Yay!
So, a
Jennifer
little,
Aniston's first movie.
which is, you can tell.
Oh.
uh,
Oh.
so, a little backstory. When we finished our last week's episode, Kelly was like, so I want to do Leprechaun. She's like, I want to do a bad movie. I want to do Leprechaun. And I literally had to sit there and be like, I like this movie. Like, don't get me wrong, this is a terrible movie.
Yeah, it's not Ginger Dead Man like bad,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
not,
still bad.
but it's still bad. We'll get into it. We'll get
We'll
into
get
it.
into it. Well, you'll see why, but just know that this one perspective is coming from somebody who actually likes this movie.
Hmm.
Okay, so we start this movie with a leprechaun in his like dungeon type
Yeah,
place,
cave, whatever you want to call it.
whatever it is, with his pot of gold. And he's basically saying that anybody who steals his gold won't survive the night. And there's a terrible Irish accent, if that actually was an Irish accent. Um, and then we switch to seeing a limo showing up to this house in the middle of the night, and a drunk Mr. O'Grady comes out, and his wife meets him, and he starts to tell her that, a fortune, we're about to be really rich because a fortune is coming in. And she's like, what are you doing? You can't afford a limo or anything that you're saying right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks his wife if his mother's ashes have come in. And she's like, yeah, the package came in earlier today. So he goes over to it, opens it up, gets the jar that his mother's ashes are in, and just smashes it. And
Yeah.
somehow there are a bag of gold coins in it.
Yeah, because I think he said that he caught the leprechaun,
Yeah,
and then the leprechaun led him to his gold.
and he keeps saying stuff about the leprechaun. It's not really clear.
Which has he met this leprechaun? I don't feel like this leprechaun would lead anyone to its gold.
Yeah, he just lead them to death or something.
Yeah. And then of course this man's name was O'Grady.
Right.
That is the most generic Irish name you can have. And by the way, why are there Irish people in North Dakota?
I thought they were in Utah.
I swear later on, like literally the next scene, Jennifer Aniston is like, we're in the middle of nowhere. And then her dad's like, we're in North Dakota. Let me see. I wrote it down.
Okay. Because in my notes it says, I thought he said Utah.
Oh, it's South Dakota.
Oh, South Dakota. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Yeah, but an old Irish couple out in South Dakota.
You know how Irish people love to immigrate to South Dakota.
In the middle of it where no one else is.
Yeah, that heavy Irish community.
Yes. But anyway, Mrs. O'Grady does not believe anything about the leprechaun and goes in to make tea. And then she starts to hear a little girl's voice singing Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
And she hears it coming from Mr. O'Grady's bag. And the little voice is like, let me out, I can't breathe. So she opens the bag and out pops the leprechaun.
Which, by the way, that bag looked like it was the size of a briefcase. How did he fit in there?
Magic.
Okay.
Okay. And then the leprechaun, I don't know, kind of like chases her, and she falls down the stairs to the basement and dies.
Mm-hmm.
She like breaks her neck on the way down. And then Mr. O'Grady comes in the house and he's all like, I've hidden the gold and the leprechaun can never find it. And the leprechaun comes out with the tea that Mrs. O'Grady had, and he's like,
yeah.
So where's the gold?
Anytime the leprechaun walked anywhere, I was laughing.
Oh, I know.
His little shuffle when he walks, it's hilarious.
His walk and every mode of transportation he takes in this movie is ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yep. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. So when Mr. O'Grady, whose name is Dan, apparently, when he sees the leprechaun, he pulls out a gun and a 4-leaf clover, which immediately the leprechaun is afraid of.
Is that like a part of actual leprechaun lore? Like,
are
they afraid of 4-leaf clovers?
I don't know, because isn't finding a 4-leaf clover supposed to give you luck? Like,
I think so.
I don't know. And Dan is holding the 4-leaf clover like you would a crucifix against like a ghost or something.
He is.
He's literally just holding that thing out at the leprechaun, and the leprechaun is freaked out. And he eventually shoots the leprechaun, and he dies.
He like passes out when he gets shot. Like, it's weird. He doesn't die,
but like
he'll stop moving for like an undetermined amount of time.
Yeah, that changes all the time.
Yeah, it's different every time.
Every single time. And so while the leprechaun is incapacitated, he throws the leprechaun's body in this huge crate, puts the 4-leaf clover on top of it, and like
I had a problem with that.
Okay.
Why did he not put the clover
in with
the box?
Leprechaun?
Because if you put it on top of the box, it could. What if a strong gust of wind came and just knocked it off?
Right, or you accidentally walk by it too fast and it just knocks it off. Anyway, he shuts the leprechaun in with some nails and pours gasoline over it. And when he's about to um set it on fire, or like even before that, like Dan is like he's going through something. I
Hmm.
don't know what's wrong with him, but he's like out
He
of breath.
grabs his chest and
Yeah.
like just falls.
Yeah.
And it's undetermined whether or not the leprechaun had anything to do with it.
Yeah. Because like there's no like magic or whatever, and
Yeah.
the leprechaun I think is still like out of it. We just hear his voice. So I don't. Maybe he's having a heart attack. I don't know.
And then why was he so happy that Dan was dying?
Dying. Yeah, I
He was
don't.
the only person who knew where your gold is.
Yeah. I- But anyway, before Dan can light the gasoline, he. It looked like to me like he died.
Yeah.
It looked like to me that he died. So we fast forward 10 years later, and we see Tori with her dad
Hmm.
in South Dakota.
It's South Dakota.
South Dakota. And she's telling her dad how depressed she is because she's not spending her summer out in LA
Hmm.
doing all the LA things that you do.
Like,
I don't know.
the mall.
The
They
mall.
don't have that in South Dakota.
They don't. Well,
Which,
especially where they're going.
yeah.
I
By the way, how old is Tori supposed to be?
have no idea.
She looks 25.
I know. Like I was assuming um high school because she said summer.
Yeah.
And then when I actually saw her, I'm like, oh, maybe college. And then I'm like, that's kind of pushing it.
Really pushing it. She looks
So
very
yeah.
much older. Like, she looks like the person playing her father could be her husband.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, her age is never given
No.
at all. Um, so we find out that her dad is living in this rundown house in the middle of nowhere. I'm
Hmm.
assuming he lives there or he just bought it.
I think he
It's
just
like a
bought it.
summer project. I don't understand. Um, and she's whining still about how everything is ruined. Um, and this is the old O'Grady's house
Yeah.
that they're in. And Tori finds out that she's going to be like living down in the basement. I guess I don't, because her dad brings her down there, and he's like, you know, with it, like if you clean it up and put some paint, it'll be perfect down here. And I'm assuming that's where her bedroom would be. I don't know.
That sucks.
Yeah, and like the whole place is covered in cobwebs and dust, huge spiders, which is disgusting.
Hmm. The crate's still there, though.
The crate is still there, you can see it. And so Tori gets upset about the whole thing and goes to make a reservation. She like leaves the house and bumps into Nathan,
Hmm.
and Nathan is there to paint the house, and Tori's, you know, trying to pay him off and be like, I'm sorry, get something new, whatever.
Yeah.
And
He never
then
takes the money, though. I would
yeah,
have
he
took
never
the
I
money.
would have taken the money and an apology. Man was not thinking. But then Nathan insults Tori by saying she's like a girly girl because she can't handle dirt and spiders. And Tori's just like, oh, no, 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 no.
I'm not
I'm,
leaving now.
I'm not leaving now, which same. I would do
I'm
the
not that
same
proud.
thing.
I still would have left.
So Tori decides to stay. And then we meet Alex, which is Nathan's little brother.
Is it?
I assume
I
so.
didn't know who he belonged to. He seemed like he was running the show, so I truly don't know what was happening there.
On Wikipedia, they have the same last name, so
Okay.
it's either his son or his brother. So
It could be his son. He
it
did look
could be.
old.
Yeah, yeah, he did. So we meet Alex and Ozzy, who are helping Nathan paint the O'Grady house.
Hmm.
Um,
Ozzy is painting without doing primer. Like, he just went straight to
oh yeah,
paint.
and they didn't even like clean the house first before
They didn't
putting.
power wash. It didn't do anything.
Mhm. Like I get that it's an old house, but come on now.
Also, why do they have southern accents if they live in South Dakota?
I have no idea. There are some things in this movie that I was just going to accept.
They're so close to the Holy Land, Canada, and they don't have Southern accents in Canada. If anything, they should be
Oh,
speaking French or something. They should
right.
not be talking like this.
Right. Y'all are nowhere near the South or anywhere where they should be speaking with a Southern accent or any kind of accent.
And Ozzy later establishes that he grew up in South Dakota, so I truly don't understand why he has a Southern accent.
I have no idea. So we then see Tori wandering down back into the basement to bring Nathan a drink. And she starts, I don't know what scares her, but like she thinks she sees something.
It's probably one of those giant spiders.
Yeah. And then gets scared by Nathan dropping a whole tarp on her.
Hmm.
And then you see the leprechaun like jolting awake because
Hmm.
like I think he like Tori jostled his crate. Um so Nathan apologizes and they see the crate and then they go to open it but are stopped when Ozzy starts screaming. So they go to investigate. They see that Ozzy has gotten paint on himself and Tori goes and tells him to get cleaned up. So Ozzy gets cleaned up and then he starts to hear a little voice singing. So he heads down to the basement.
Which is never a good thing.
Never a good
If you hear
thing.
a child singing, run.
Yeah,
Even if you're at an elementary school concert, just run.
run. Right. If you can't identify where it's coming from, just run. He goes down to the basement where he hears the little voice beg Ozzy to let him out of the crate. And Ozzy wipes off the 4-leaf clover and the leprechaun comes smashing out of the crate. And he asks Ozzy where his gold would be, and then he runs off.
Right. And then he also says that his powers are weak because he doesn't have his gold.
Yeah.
Do his does his gold give other people powers or only him?
I don't know. I'm not
Because
versed in leprechaun lore.
because I'm confused on that. How does the gold give you power?
I don't know.
And he seemingly does magic without it, so I
Yeah.
don't understand why he needs the gold.
Yeah, like he's managing just fine on his own without the gold.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ozzy um, goes and tells Nathan that a leprechaun just came out of a crate and is looking for his gold. And nobody believes him. So they go down, Nathan, Tori, and everybody go back down to the basement to see if they can find the leprechaun that Ozzy's talking about. They hear some rustling and it turns out to be a rat.
And they're like, "Oh, you must have mistaken the rat for a leprechaun."
Yeah.
I know Ozzy is a simple person in this movie,
Yes.
but he's not completely oblivious. Like, I'm pretty sure a 2-year-old could tell you the difference between a rat and a
And a
leprechaun.
leprechaun. Yeah. I maybe he's had episodes like this before.
He has, but we'll get to that later because I have a rant to go on later.
So they all leave the basement and go outside, and like immediately after they go outside, a rainbow appears. So they go outside, and a rainbow appears out of nowhere. Hasn't
Hmm.
rained or anything. A rainbow
Yeah.
disappears, and Ozzy wants to go see where this rainbow ends because you know at the end of every rainbow there's a pot of gold
Or a puddle,
or a puddle.
whatever way it goes.
And Alex decides to go with him, and they end up at this old rusty car. They start looking around, and they find Ozzy finds a gold coin underneath the seat, and then Alex finds the whole bag.
Yeah.
And then Ozzy gets scared, and he's like, "Wait, this is the gold that the leprechaun was looking for." And so, like, Alex totally just ignores it because he's like, "Come on now, this is gold. We're rich." And so when they're trying to test if the gold is real, Ozzy goes to chomp on it. I don't know how that makes gold real when you chomp on it. Do you
I have no idea.
know? Because you could do that to a regular coin and it's still hard.
Yeah, a quarter won't do anything if you bite on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, don't put random coins in your mouth.
Yeah, that's gross.
That's gross. Don't do that. And then Ozzy accidentally swallows it.
How he swallowed that giant ass coin,
I
I will
um,
never understand. That coin was as big as, oh my gosh, like two quarters.
yeah, it was a silver dollar
It was a
basically.
silver dollar size, and
For
he
those of you,
somehow swallowed it.
yeah,
Like his gag reflex didn't even make him spit it back out.
man has zero gag
Even
reflex.
his gag reflex is stupid.
It's non-existent. For those of you who don't know what a silver dollar is, go look it up.
Look it up. Google is your friend.
Google is your friend. So they decide to take one with them to town to see if it's authentic and then hide the rest of it. So we go back to Nathan and Tori trying to paint the house, and they're like flirting or whatever. I don't. So Tori runs out of paint and goes to Nathan's truck to get some more, and she
just get into it.
she gets touched on her calf, and she thinks it's Nathan, and like gets into it. Um, until she goes to tell Nathan something and she turns around and Nathan is still at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So she freaks out and then she gets scratched.
How she thought that was Nathan, I will never
I
understand.
know. Like
Did she think that Nathan crawled underneath his truck and then started randomly caressing her leg?
also, wouldn't the hand size difference
Yeah.
like
He had the hand of like a child, and
yeah.
then Nathan is a full grown man.
Also, why would a full grown man go to caress your leg first?
It's super creepy.
So Tori screams and Nathan and her dad go to investigate. And she's all like telling them that she knows that she was being caressed by a man.
Yeah, not a great thing to say to your
Not a great thing
father.
to say. And they're like convinced that it's like either a possum or something, a wild animal. And then they start to hear a cat meow. So they're like, maybe that's the thing that was caressing your leg.
Mm-hmm.
So they
You
go to
know,
investigate.
because cats have giant hands that
Yeah.
feel like a man's hands.
And love to caress your calf. So Tori's dad sticks his hand in a tree or like some type of log where they think the cat is.
Yeah, that was very dumb.
That was so dumb. You don't stick your hand in stuff like that. And he gets bit by the leprechaun.
Mm-hmm. No innuendo here, people. Don't put your hand into random holes.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
don't do that. Think
That's
before you stuff your hand into something.
There could have been a snake in there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what's in what ends up being in there. Don't stick your hand
Don't stick your hand in there.
in there. Common sense, y'all. So the group decides to go to town to get Tori's dad's hand fixed.
Mhm.
And the leprechaun follows them on a tricycle.
When he rolled out of that shed on his tricycle, I screamed. I was like, where did you get that
Yeah.
tricycle?
Why are there leprechaun-sized
That wasn't even the
things
weirdest
around?
thing that he pulled out.
It's really
So
not.
I think that happens next. But
So they get to the hospital and it's nighttime. I don't know how far away they are from town because it was daytime when Tori's dad got bit.
yeah, and now it's like pitch black.
Yeah, and now it's like middle of the night, kind of dark. And so Nathan and Tori go into the hospital and Ozzy and Alex decide to get their coin appraised. So they find an appraiser and they find out that the coin is worth $500 or more because of it could be like real gold and then like historical value, whatever.
Which that seems kind of low, but
Yeah.
okay.
So they decide to leave the coin with the guy. And the guy's like, well, I'll leave it in my safe. It'll be fine. I just want to do some more research. And so Ozzy and Alex are like, okay, we'll go back to the hospital. The store owner is then attacked by the leprechaun.
Can I please say this next part? Please,
Go
please, please,
ahead.
please, please.
Go ahead.
The leprechaun pulls a pogo stick out of literally nowhere and starts pogo sticking on his chest. I honestly had forgotten about that. And when it happened, I think my brain shut down for like a good 2 seconds because I had to like pause the TV and like really think about what was happening.
And like the whole time the leprechaun is like bouncing on this guy's chest. He's making like a rhyme about how this guy is like dying because he's jumping on his lungs.
Yeah. And then after he kills this man, he walks over to his shoes and starts buffing them.
Yeah. So, yeah, I forgot to mention that there's this weird thing that the leprechaun said when he burst out of the crate at Ozzy, that like he cleans shoes for a living as well.
He's a shoemaker.
He's a shoemaker. Yes.
Which does not equate a shoe cleaner.
Yeah.
Like he never makes any shoes. He's just cleaning shoes.
Them. Yeah. So, as the leprechaun goes to leave, he gets his coin, and then he turns around and he sees a tiny kid car.
Yep. He upgraded.
And he's
no more tricycles.
No more tricycle.
Now he has a car with a passenger seat for the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Or a shoe.
Whatever
he wants.
We then see Nathan and Tori at a diner, and we find out that her father is staying overnight at the hospital. And then we flash to the leprechaun driving on the streets. And then he gets pulled over by a police officer.
Yeah, the police officer thinks he's like a kid.
Yeah, the police officer thinks he's a kid, and then he gets attacked by the leprechaun. And the leprechaun like takes out the police officer's gun, looks at it, and then chucks it away. And then the officer gets away and starts running. And then there's this long scene of the officer and the leprechaun like playing cat and mouse.
Yeah.
Which it's like way too long to spend on that. But anyway.
There's another scene though.
There is another scene. Happen. Yeah. I could have had 5 more minutes of my life back. The officer eventually gets caught by the leprechaun, and the leprechaun just snaps his neck.
Oh, not before.
Oh, yeah.
The police officer literally threw his only remaining weapon.
Yeah.
Which will come back.
Yeah. He had his billy club and he just chucked it at the leprechaun.
Mm-hmm. You remember that he threw that club, because we're going to come back to this.
We're going to come back to that. This is an important clue, guys. So we go back to Nathan and Tori, and Nathan makes this joke about Tori being a vegetarian. I just don't know why that was needed.
Yeah, he was like, what do you mean you're a vegetarian?
Right.
She's like, I don't want to eat living creatures. Right. And he was just like, ugh.
Right. She's all like, I just wanted a salad here and they don't serve that. And he's all like, you want some meatloaf? And she's like, I'm a vegetarian. Just like, chill.
Like, and I want an Evian water. And he's like, here's some tap water.
So Ozzy and Alex finally show up. And then we immediately go back to the leprechaun showing up at the O'Grady house looking for his gold. And
oh my goodness.
He's in the kitchen and decides to like go through everything, and he pulls out a box of Lucky Clover.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky Clover.
Lucky Clover.
Not Lucky Charms.
He was ecstatic when he found that box.
Yeah, and then he eats some of it and then just like is disgusted and just like throws it away. And then the leprechaun, not finding anything else, decides to get all the shoes in the house and clean them.
Cleans them. This scene goes on for like 3 minutes.
Yeah. We just see him rummage in the kitchen, and then he's piling shoes on the kitchen table.
Yeah, he's just buffing all the shoes.
it's a thing for him.
They felt this needed to be in the movie.
Yeah. And they do this multiple times. It's
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
So the gang end up back at the O'Grady house, and then they find the kitchen a mess. And Tori sees all the shoes on the
Except for the
kitchen
shoes.
table, and she's like, what is this?" And Nathan's like, "I think it's a bear."
Yeah,
And
Nathan is not that bright.
yeah, and Tori's just fed up with it. She's like, "A bear did not pile all these shoes on this table." And she leaves, but then comes back because it's too dark
Because
and she
it's
doesn't want
dark
to.
outside.
Yeah. So they all clean up the kitchen, and Nathan and Tori start to hear a bell, like bike bell going off,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Ozzy just messing around, and Tori's all like fed up again and is like going to leave. And then we see Ozzy asking Alex like what he would do if he saw the leprechaun, and Alex is just straight up, "I'm gonna kill that leprechaun." I'm gonna get a gun and put it to that leprechaun's head, and I'm gonna pull the trigger.
Alex, up until one part of the movie, is the voice of reason in this movie,
Honestly.
and the only one making adult decisions. And he's like 12.
I know. He's it's amazing what this movie is doing. So the bike bell rings again, and Nathan and Tori show up, and they're like, "Ozzy, can you stop doing that?" And they look at the bell, and it's not him.
Yeah.
So Nathan decides to go out and investigate. So he goes outside of the house, and he trips over something and falls into a bear trap that the leprechaun had set up.
Yeah.
The Nathan fights off the leprechaun, and everyone comes out. Tori is standing there with him. Ozzy goes to make a really bad 911 phone call.
Oh my gosh. Why did anyone let Ozzy call the cops? Because it's established at this point that Ozzy constantly makes made up statements to the police. Why
Yes.
would you ask him to call the police?
Maybe the heat of the moment kind of thing. I don't know.
Literally, Alex should have been like, no, don't let him call. I'll go call.
Yeah. So Ozzy is like saying, "We need the army. We need everybody out here." The officers don't believe him. They're like, "Yeah, sure, okay."
Yeah,
Alex
like
goes to
it's just Ozzy.
yeah. Alex goes to get a shotgun that apparently they've had this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And Nathan then gets the shotgun from Alex and shoots the leprechaun.
Yeah.
Tori helps Nathan get out of the bear trap, and then Nathan decides to let loose all of the ammo in the shotgun.
Oh my gosh, he shot all of the bullets into a bush.
Yeah, where the leprechaun's body should have been.
Yeah.
Like, it's dark where the bush is, and he could have been shooting at nothing, which he probably was.
He probably was shooting at nothing.
Which, a waste of bullets. So Tori goes to help Nathan, and they wrap him up for now, and they're like, "We have to go back to the hospital because Nathan is hurt." But the truck won't start.
Yeah. Ooh, it was at this point I realized something. Did you notice that the leprechaun was wearing heels?
Oh yeah, his little
running
booted
around
heels.
killing people with his red bottoms on. Good for him.
Murder, but make it fashion.
Also, I hate the cliche in movies where the girl just instinctively knows how to care for wounds.
Oh yeah.
Like, she knew exactly what to do, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, how?
Yeah, all this medical knowledge coming out of nowhere.
They always put that in movies, and I think it's very misogynistic.
It is. It is. If any movie directors are watching,
Yeah, that's a
write that
very
down.
misogynistic trope. Don't do that.
Yeah, take it out. We don't like it.
We don't need your heteronormative ideals.
Yeah, get out.
Get out.
So Alex goes to fix the truck, and he does this very slowly. Like, I get there's a leprechaun out there, but wouldn't that make you want to go faster?
Yeah.
So Alex pops the hood, and the leprechaun is in there. He's in the under the hood.
Yeah.
Like, nothing should be able to fit under there. the engine's in there and all the other stuff that I'm not a car person, don't
I
explain
mean,
me.
he was able to fit into that small briefcase,
You're
so why
right.
couldn't he fit in here?
You're right. Okay. So the leprechaun pops out. Alex runs back in the car, and the leprechaun like bashes through the window, bites Ozzy's ear,
Hmm.
and then Tori burns him with the little cigarette lighter that they have in there.
Yeah, cars used to have cigarette lighters.
Cars, mine still does,
How old is your car?
from '06.
Oh, yeah, that's back when they thought smoking
Yeah,
was still
everyone
healthy.
smoked. So then the leprechaun runs to the barn and gets this like Mad Max inspired like a car or whatever it is with like a pitchfork at the end and
Yeah,
manages to flip the truck.
it looks like a tiny golf cart. No, like a go-kart. You know those
Yeah,
like homemade go-karts? It looked like one of those.
yeah, it also looked like a bumper car. It had like with a little shield too. So the leprechaun flips the truck, and when he goes to get the gang, they're not in the car anymore. I don't know how they got out that
They
fast.
got out so fast.
You were just in a flipped truck. Like you should be a little dazed. So the group runs back to the house and they manage to cut off the leprechaun's hand when they shut the door.
Yeah, that was weird. All they
Yeah, I
did was
don't
slam the door shut and then it like knocked off his hand.
yeah, I there's yeah, movie logic. So Tori is like, we need to make another phone call, and they're like, the landline is dead. And then she remembers that she has a phone. So she calls 911 and like we see somebody at the police station answering the call and sending out an officer. And it's actually
The
the
leprechaun.
leprechaun. He's answering because the police officer that was called was the one that the leprechaun killed.
Yeah.
Um,
How he somehow remembered his voice and like mimicked it over the
yeah,
radio.
mimicked it. So Ozzy makes another comment about the leprechaun back at the house, and Tori just gets on his case and is like, "You need to shut up
Right.
about
She's
this
like,
freaking
shut the
leprechaun."
hell up. There's no leprechaun.
Yeah.
Even though he's been saying this entire time, I'm a leprechaun. Where's my gold?
Yes. So Alex makes a comment, and Tori gets on him, and he is forced to tell the truth. And Tori's like, if he wants the gold, let's just give it to him. So they tell Tori that the gold is in the well that's outside. So Nathan gives her the gun that is somehow still loaded.
Hmm.
And
Movies love to give guns an infinite amount of bullets.
right, movie director, also don't do that. Make them reload.
Like it's the same. It's not as bad as the Ginger Dead Man,
It's yeah, it's
but
not as
it's
bad.
but it's pretty close.
It's up there though. So Tori gets the gold, and immediately the leprechaun like appears and takes it back.
Mhm.
And Tori runs back to the house while the leprechaun goes and counts his gold and finds that one is missing.
His obsession with this gold is insane.
Right. Like,
Insane.
like
Like
why
it's
does he need
he's missing a singular coin.
yeah.
He already said that his powers were restored when he got all the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he need that singular coin?
Man is greedy.
And he went, and then after he realizes he's missing this one coin, he goes more insane than he was before.
Yeah. Like
Like
take your life, man.
he starts jumping out of fridges. He starts grabbing penises like some sort of
Yeah.
K-pop star. Like, Stan, like what is happening?
Right. Right. So when the leprechaun finds out he doesn't have all 100 coins, he goes back to the house and just terrorizes everybody.
Yeah, he turns it to an 11. Like he was at a 7 and then he
Yeah.
just went to 11.
Yeah. And this goes on for like a full 10 minutes. This whole
Yeah.
like terrorizing the group. And then
My favorite part of the movie when he
Nathan What? Which part?
when he starts riding through the halls on the skateboard.
Oh my god, yeah. So the leprechaun just grabs random things and starts like throwing them or just like appearing with them in the hallway. And one of them is a skateboard.
Yeah,
He just rolls
he
in.
just pulls props out of nowhere.
Right. It's ridiculous. So Nathan finally shoots the leprechaun again, but he's not dead. And Ozzy finally comes clean and is like, you know what? I have the last gold piece and it's inside me. And I'm gonna go sacrifice myself. And everyone just all like, no, we're not gonna sacrifice you.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yes.
I would have sacrificed him.
I literally put pity. Like, y'all really could have been out of here. Just give him Ozzy.
The way I would have been like, oh, that's so sad, as I'm slowly opening the front door.
Right. Swinging a bat at his head so he doesn't try to fight back. Shove him out the door. So Ozzy's like, if we're not going to sacrifice me, then the only person who would know how to get rid of this leprechaun is old Mr. O'Grady, who is
And
somehow still alive.
that's where I was like, pause. What?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, first of all, he's alive. Because they were talking about him like he was dead.
Yeah.
And then secondly, he had a stroke, not a heart attack. I was like, he clutched his heart.
Yeah.
That's a heart attack.
That's a heart attack. Strokes or something else.
Whatever.
So Tori decides that she would go to the nursing home that O'Grady is in. And to distract the leprechaun from following Tori, Ozzy and Nathan decide to throw shoes at the leprechaun. And he has no choice but to leave Tori and clean them.
When I write my notes, I write as a stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
Like, I don't put full sentences. I just do it. And so I put, OMG, he gets distracted by the shoes. And then my next bullet, I'm going to just tell it. I put, not roller skates.
So the leprechaun, after the whole shoe debacle, he like races after Tori on roller skates.
Yes.
So
this man should have a show.
He really should. Just one-man comedy show. So Tori gets to the nursing home and she thinks she finds O'Grady's room and goes to ask O'Grady how to get rid of the leprechaun. And we find out it's actually the leprechaun that's sitting in the chair.
And then the leprechaun starts chasing her. Not with his feet. No, he stays in the chair.
Yeah, he stays in the wheelchair and goes after her.
If there's anything this leprechaun is going to do, he's going to chase you on something with wheels.
Yeah, he will not run after you. That is not his style. So Tori's running away from the leprechaun for a very long time.
A very long time.
Until she finds an elevator and gets in. And like immediately the top bursts down and there's Mr. O'Grady dying.
Why was he in the elevator?
That was
so far away from his room.
I know. Like he could have shoved Mr. O'Grady out the window and then the leprechaun could have just sat.
And he also didn't seem to have any signs that he had a stroke.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was speaking perfectly fine. Yeah. Other than the fact that he was dying, he seemed okay.
Yeah, his face looked okay. There wasn't any drooping.
Yeah.
He was fine. And so O'Grady tells Tori that only a fresh picked 4-leaf clover can help kill the leprechaun.
Yeah, which we will speak about this later.
Yes.
Because I have something to say.
So Tori races back to the house and goes to find a clover by the well. Mm-hmm. And before she can find anything, the leprechaun shows up and chases her. There's a lot of chasing in this movie.
A lot of change. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't even Jennifer Aniston that was running because,
No.
like, they never showed her face when she was running. They'd only show her legs.
Yeah, probably not her at all. So Tori runs away, and while she's running, she sees the police car and runs up to it, only to find out that the officer is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And here it comes, y'all. What did we tell you to remember?
The
The
baton.
officer's baton. Because the leprechaun catches up to Tori, and she grabs the baton and shoves it right through the leprechaun's eye.
You know, that baton that the cop threw into the woods.
Yes, in the middle of the woods that the leprechaun kindly brought back with his dead body.
Yeah, it just laid it right next to his body. It was like, you know what? I'm sorry I killed you. Here's your
Right,
baton back.
right. So the leprechaun steals the eye of the dead officer, just shoves it into his socket.
It was very Jeepers Creepers.
It was very Jeepers Creepers. And then Tori is saved by Ozzy and Nathan. And then they all race up back to the house to find the four-leaf clover, while Alex goes and gets the bear trap and tries to set up something to catch the leprechaun in the barn.
Yeah, this was the only dumb thing he did because he
Yeah.
was literally told to stay in the house.
Mm-hmm. And he comes out and just puts himself in danger.
Yeah.
While they're trying to find the four-leaf clover, Tori is fed up again. And Ozzy comes up to her and is like, "You have to believe that we'll find it." And Tori is just not having it. She's like, "Are you kidding me right now? This is not what I need." And Ozzy's like, "No, no, no, this is gonna work. We need to believe that we'll find the four-leaf clover." And then she just grabs some grass that's dead and was just like, "What? Here, I believe that I'm gonna find the four-leaf clover." And then she looks down, and there's the four-leaf clover.
Yeah, she didn't actually believe. Like, she was being
She was
sarcastic.
sarcastic. But I guess it doesn't matter with magic. Magic can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
Magic can't determine whether or not you're being sarcastic.
So they finally have the four-leaf clover. And then we switch over to Alex in the barn. And the leprechaun is in there with him. And the leprechaun attacks him and almost shoves his head into the bear trap, which would have been really gruesome.
They don't kill kids in these movies.
They don't kill kids in these movies. He's alive. So Nathan, Tori, and Ozzy show up, and Ozzy's like, "I'm the one with the last coin. Come get me." And the leprechaun rushes at him. Nathan goes to shoot, and Tori just stands there.
She has the clover in her hand and lets him run right past her.
Yeah. Shouldn't the four-leaf clover by itself, whether she holds it out to him or not, just like affect the leprechaun?
Yeah, it should be like a crucifix with a vampire.
Yeah, like, because that's how we acted at the beginning of the movie. Anyway, Ozzy runs out and the leprechaun attacks him, and he's like starts cutting his face. Alex goes after them and bunches up the four-leaf clover, puts it in his little slingshot, and yells at the leprechaun, and shoots the four-leaf clover into his mouth.
What does he yell to the leprechaun, Kelley?
"Fuck you, Lucky Charms."
That is an excellent line. Excellent.
Really though, Alex is the best character.
I will be quoting that from now on.
Oh my gosh, and I have something to tell you about that later.
Okay.
So the leprechaun starts to melt, and he like ends up by the well, and we think he's dead.
Rewind really quick.
Okay.
We're now at that point. So when Tori was talking to Mr. O'Grady, Mr. O'Grady said that the clover would weaken him. He pretty much said that it would make him no longer invulnerable. He didn't say that the clover would kill him. But then the clover literally kills him.
I don't know. Maybe he was finally dying of all the bullet
All the bullet wounds in his body from the past 10 years of constantly being shot.
I have no idea. So he melts and everyone thinks he's dead, but then rises again, and Nathan just hits him with
Punts
the
him.
punts him into the well, pours gasoline on him, and lights him on
Yeah,
fire.
he polluted all the groundwater.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fuck you, Nathan.
So then the cops finally decide to show up, and it's like the sun is finally rising, and then you hear the leprechaun's voice saying that the well is cursed and his soul will stay there until he gets his last coin, and that's where the movie ends.
Yay.
Yay!
Also,
Yes.
does Ozzy die?
It
Because
really does sound like he did die, didn't he?
the way they were playing out the scene,
Yeah.
it made it seem like Ozzy was
Was
dying,
dying.
but then they never showed him like actually die.
Yeah. Because there's like this tender moment between him and Alex where he's like, am I really like dumb or whatever? And Alex is like, no, you're so smart. And like it just seemed like he was gonna die.
I'm gonna say Ozzy's dead.
Okay. Ozzy's dead. End of the movie. He still has that gold coin in him.
R.I.P.
Rest well, homie. So, iconic or not?
Oh, this is another bad iconic movie.
Okay.
Just like the Ginger Dead Man, the villain saves the movie
Yeah,
because the acting is terrible.
the acting is so bad.
It's so bad. How Jennifer Aniston ever got another movie after this role, I will never understand.
It's a miracle, honestly.
I mean, Jennifer Aniston, has she ever made a good movie? Debatable.
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 I mean, she has movies that I enjoy, but I
Yeah.
would not say they are good movies.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But yeah, the Leprechaun, he is the highlight of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you see him, he is doing or saying something completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
He's honestly the star of the show.
I laughed so much during this movie. I don't know if this was meant to be a comedy, but I had fun.
Oh, this movie is technically a horror comedy movie.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
labeled as, so maybe.
Great.
Maybe.
Because the way they kept throwing him onto bicycles and pogo sticks, they had to have been intentionally trying to make this movie funny.
Yeah. Like the only horror part of it maybe is like the blood and stuff and like people actually dying.
Yeah, but even that looked fake. So
even that was funny. So
like I've never seen someone get killed by a pogo stick. That I if I died that way, I'd probably laugh while I was dying.
I do agree though. This is bad iconic.
Please watch it. Please
watch it, or please get like some of your friends to watch it. Get their reactions.
Mm-hmm. Get a little drinky in you.
Yeah,
get a little drink in you.
Take a shot every time the leprechaun.
Every time the leprechaun has a new vehicle. Every time he has a new mode of transportation, take a shot.
Right. Or do a different one where you take a shot every time Nathan shoots that freaking shotgun.
We're not trying to get people alcohol poisoning here.
I mean, if that's the kind of trip you want, you do you, baby. Just stay safe.
Stay safe. Don't drive. Drink some water.
Drink some water. Maybe eat a little bit.
Yeah.
And then sleep for the next.
I think the night you watch this movie is the night you pop open the Domino's coupons.
Roll it out.
Live your life.
Do it. So let's give you some movie facts.
Yay, this is my favorite part.
So the Leprechaun was based on a comic book from the 30s.
A comic? What's with these terrible movies and comic books?
I have no idea. I didn't look it up because I'm like, it's just going to be ridiculous. Like a leprechaun killing people, really. You want to guess the budget?
60 million. They had a couple of locations. So 60 million?
It's not that high.
Oh, okay. 5 million.
It's 1 million.
That makes sense.
And then it
That,
grossed on at the domestic box office, it grossed more than 8.5 million.
yeah, I would have seen this. I would have
And
seen it in
then
theaters.
it earned an additional 15 million from VHS and DVD sales.
Oh, absolutely. Like 10 million of them were from me.
And this is my favorite movie fact. So we're gonna go back to the scene where the leprechaun is eating the lucky clovers.
Mhm.
So the movie director actually got a little inspiration from watching a Lucky Charms commercial. So he talked to General Mills and was like, "Hey, yo, like your cereal inspired this movie. Can like I get rights to show your cereal?" And they're like, "Sure, we give you permission." And then when they saw the first screening of it, they were so like insulted that they took back their permission. So they had to reshoot the whole scene with him eating Lucky Charms and change it to Lucky Clover. And then the movie director was so salty.
Is that why he spit it out?
Uh-uh. No, no,
Oh.
no. So the last line from Alex was supposed to be, "Your luck just ran out." But they changed it to say, "Fuck you, Lucky Charms."
Oh, I love a petty moment.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I love pettiness.
I literally saw that and I was like, this is amazing, y'all. This is so great. And that's that on that.
That's that on that. Do you have any recommendations for this week?
I do. So I think I had two, but I'm not remembering the first one. So the first one is The Great British Baking Show. I
Mhm.
started watching that again. And like I stopped watching after a while because when the first like 4 seasons came out, I was a little behind and I like basically watched 2 seasons in like a week, which is not good. So I'm catching up on that. Go check it out if you're into baking, and if you're not, do it for the wholesomeness. It's like it's so nice, y'all. Do your recommendation, and if I remember my second one, I'll do it.
Okay. My first one
Mm-hmm.
is that the TV show The Parkers is on Netflix. It's so
Ooh,
funny. It stars Monique. It's
yes.
about a mom and a daughter who go to the same community college. It's hilarious. My second is
Mm-hmm.
my favorite podcast, My Favorite Murder.
Yes.
If you want spooky season year round, listen to My Favorite Murder. It's a true crime podcast. Karen and Georgia are hilarious. You'll love it. Sabrina introduced me to it. It's amazing. Do you remember your
I
recommendation?
don't, and that's
Oh,
okay.
it's okay.
It's okay. I'll remember like midnight tomorrow, and then I'll jolt awake
You can
and write it down.
you, you you can tweet it.
I'll tweet it and I'll put it on our Instagram as well. Go follow.
Okay. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
Don't forget to follow us on our social media. We have a Twitter and an Instagram. It's at SYTYI Podcast. And don't forget to send us your movie stories at our email,
Yeah.
sytypodcast@gmail.com. You know, we love a movie story. Were
Mm-hmm.
you one of the people who saw Leprechaun in theaters?
And how did you feel every time the leprechaun got a new mode of transportation?
Did you feel inspired like me? Please let me know.
Did you love Jennifer Aniston in this movie? Tell
Hmm.
us.
Her thespian acting was amazing, was it not?
So good. Top
Please let us
tier.
know how she inspired you to become an actress.
And how you recognized her in Friends and was that person that was like, I knew her from Leprechaun.
Yeah.
Tell us, please.
Please tell us. Also, share us with your friends and your family.
Yeah.
Give us some love. rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And you do need to wash your mask, wear your
Yes.
mask, wash your hands. But also, we're about 2 weeks away from voting, people.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you vote.
Yep.
You have a ballot at home, fill it out.
Mm-hmm. And if you did it early, good on you.
Good for you.
And if you mailed it in on time, good on you.
Good for you.
And if you haven't done either,
if you're going to vote on the actual day, bring a chair, bring
mm-hmm.
some water, bring some snacks, just in case.
Yep.
Never know. Be prepared. And stay iconic.
Stay iconic, y'all.
Bye.